Good day, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of Part 313, Professional Practice 1. Our topic this week is Batas Pambansa Bilang 344, the Accessibility Law of the Philippines, with a focus on the revised 2024 implementing rules and regulations. This law serves as one of the foundations of inclusive architectural practice in the country. As aspiring professionals, your understanding of accessibility is not just about compliance, but about creating spaces that promote equal dignity and freedom of movement for all. Accessibility is not merely a design principle, it is a legal and moral obligation enshrined in Philippine law and reinforced by international conventions. BP 344 bridges the gap between spatial limitations and human rights by setting minimum accessibility standards in the built environment. These standards are intended to remove barriers that restrict the full participation of persons with disabilities in society. In today's lecture, we will examine the historical context of BP 344, unpack its revised legal framework, review its specific technical requirements, and discuss your responsibility as future architects. These updates are more than regulatory tweaks. They reflect a maturing understanding of how design should serve everyone in a democratic society. After completing this lecture, you'll be able to explain the history and rationale behind the passage of BB 344 and its 2024 revisions, identify the key technical provisions applicable to architectural design, especially in public and commercial buildings, and interpret your professional obligations in planning, coordinating, and certifying compliance with BP 344 as part of the permit process. These objectives are aligned with both your board examination content and real-world professional requirements in architectural practice. Every set of construction documents you produce will need to demonstrate compliance with accessibility laws. Moreover, your license binds you legally to observe these codes in every aspect of project execution, from schematic design to occupancy. Our discussion will also help you develop critical thinking on accessibility issues. Beyond simply adding ramps or widening doors, you'll be challenged to evaluate the spatial experience of PWDs and create environments that are not just accessible but empowering. BP 344 was enacted in 1982 with the explicit purpose of enhancing the mobility and participation of persons with disability in everyday life. It mandates physical access to buildings, establishments, and public infrastructure. At its core, the law enshrines the right of every Filipino, regardless of physical ability, to use public spaces safely and independently. According to the 2024 IRR, the law is part of a larger accessibility framework that includes not only physical access, but usability, sustainability, and equity in spatial design. It also aligns the Philippine legal system with international conventions such as the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Sustainable Development Goals. The revised IRR of 2024 emphasizes that accessibility is not limited to architecture. It intersects with transport, education, employment, and communication. For architects, this expands the law's relevance for beyond ramps and signage. It includes the obligation to contribute to a fully inclusive built environment. The original BB 344 was signed into law under President Ferdinand Marcos in 1982. It was one of the earliest legal frameworks in Southeast Asia dedicated to accessibility. Over time, its relevance grew, especially in civil society, advocacy groups, and international treaties, uh, began to put pressure on national governments to promote inclusivity. In 2009, the Philippines ratified the UNCRPD, prompting the need for updated IRRs that would bring national accessibility standards up to international expectations. The 2024 revised IRR is the result of years of consultation with the National Council on Disability Affairs, the Department of Public Works and Highways, and professional sectors, including the United Architects of the Philippines. The legal framework now situates BP 344 not only within local codes like PD 1096, but also alongside international human rights law. This amplifies the legal liability of professionals who fail to comply and, more importantly, gives your work a moral anchor rooted in equity and justice. The 2024 IRR clearly defines key terms that form the foundation of the accessibility framework. Disability refers to long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments that hinder participation in society on an equal basis. Accessibility is defined as the provision of features and conditions that allow persons with disabilities to safely and independently access, use, and benefit from buildings and spaces. Barrier-free design is the architectural strategy that removes physical, sensory, or cognitive obstacles in the built environment. These definitions are not just semantic. They shape how you, as designers, interpret space. Accessibility requires more than legal compliance. It involves a proactive mindset where the question is not what is the minimum, but how can this space empower all users. For example, a barrier-free entrance does not mean simply adding a ramp. It means designing with grade-level entries, automatic doors, and intuitive wayfinding that benefit everyone, including the elderly, children, and pregnant women. By internalizing these terms, future architects adopt a mindset of universal design. That means prioritizing human-centered, inclusive solutions that anticipate diversity in physical and sensory abilities. These definitions also influence how inspections are conducted, how projects are evaluated, and how you should assess compliance in both technical drawings and physical site execution. BP 344 applies to all public and private buildings that are used by the general public, including new construction, renovation, and retrofits. The 2024 IRR clarifies that the law covers a broad range of facilities: transportation terminals, shopping centers, schools, health facilities, parks, and even places of worship. Residential buildings like dormitories, boarding houses, and condominiums with common public areas are also included. The revised IRR expands application to pedestrian facilities, including sidewalks, ramps, crossings, curb cuts, and public transport access points. For projects involving site development, all features leading to and from buildings, including pathways and driveways, must be designed to ensure accessible circulation. One of the most important clarifications in the 2024 IRR is that accessibility must be integrated from site entry to the point of service, not merely at the entrance of the building. It is no longer acceptable to have token features that do not connect meaningfully to the user's full journey. As an architect, you must think of the entire site and its approachability for people with mobility, visual, or auditory impairments. Ramps continue to be among the most important accessibility features under BP 344. The 2024 IRR retains the maximum allowable slope of 1:12 and prescribes a minimum width of 1.20 meters. With landings every 6 meters of horizontal run, landings must have a minimum depth of 1.5 meters, and floor finishes must be non-slip to prevent accidents during wet or humid conditions. Handrails must be provided on both sides at dual heights, 700 mm and 900 mm, and must extend 300 millimeters beyond the top and bottom of the ramp for added safety. The base of the ramp must be flush with adjoining surfaces to eliminate vertical gaps or lip hazards that can cause difficulty for wheelchairs and tripping for ambulatory users. It's important to note that ramps are not optional alternative to stairs. They are mandatory where elevation changes occur. Moreover, whenever a ramp is provided, it must not obstruct circulation for other users. Architects must consider placement, turning radii for wheelchair users, and slope transitions carefully to meet both compliance and usability standards. The revised IRR reinforces that handrails must be continuous, smooth, and easy to grasp, ideally circular or oval in section, and terminate in rounded ends or return to the wall to avoid snagging clothes or mobility aids. Materials must be durable and slip resistant, and mounting must support at least 100 kilograms of lateral force. Signage must incorporate both pictograms and braille with tactile lettering in contrasting colors to improve visibility for people with low vision. Signs must be mounted at a height of 1.4 to 1.6 meters and placed in consistent, well-lit locations near elevators, restrooms, stairwells, and directional paths. The 2024 IRR also emphasizes the use of tactile ground surface indicators for wayfinding. These include warning surfaces, for example truncated domes, and directional bars that can be detected by cane or foot. This innovation brings the Philippines closer to international best practices for inclusive mobility, particularly in transport terminals and large public complexes. Restrooms are among the most frequently cited accessibility problem areas, often due to incorrect clearances or poorly placed fixtures. The 2024 IRR reiterates the need for a 1.5-meter minimum turning radius inside toilet cubicles and 800 millimeter minimum depth widths. Doors must swing outward or be sliding to prevent trapping a person inside in case of emergency. Lavatories, mirrors, and dispensers must be installed at a height of 0.80 to 1.20 meters and must be reachable without obstruction. Grab bars should be mounted beside and behind the toilet at 0.80 to 0.85 meters from the floor, firmly anchored to support body weight and movement. The updated IRR also specifies that at least one unisex accessible toilet be provided per building floor where restrooms are located. Where gendered restrooms exist, each must include an accessible cubicle. This provision ensures that users do not need to change floors or ask for assistance to perform essential hygiene tasks. The revised IRR mandates a minimum of one accessible parking space per 25 regular slots, with a width of 3.60 meters and a level paved surface marked with the international symbol of accessibility. These spaces must be adjacent to main entrances or accessible roads, with tactile winding strips and signage. Drop-off zones must include a designated buffer area for wheelchair entry or exit, with curb ramps and canopy coverage where feasible. Lighting and visibility are also emphasized to ensure safety at night and during low visibility conditions. Pedestrian paths from parking or drop-off zones must seemingly connect to the building's primary entrance. These provisions recognize that accessibility starts long before a person enters a building. Parking areas and drop-off zones are part of the full journey of access, and the architectural responsibility includes ensuring that transitions between spaces are not only code compliant but thoughtfully designed. Accessibility under BP 344 extend beyond buildings to include urban infrastructure. This includes sidewalks, pedestrian overpasses, curb ramps, transport stations, and intermodal terminals. Curb cuts must be present at every intersection and pedestrian crossing with textured surfaces for orientation. For sidewalks, a minimum clear width of 1.20 meters must be maintained free of obstructions in a slope not exceeding 1:20. Elevators in transport terminals must include braille controls and audio announcements. Tactile guide paths and high-contrast signage are now required in major interchanges. These features enable persons with disabilities to navigate cities with autonomy. The emphasis in the 2024 IRR is on seamless connectivity, not isolated features. As urban planners and architects, you are expected to contribute to the entire system of accessibility, ensuring consistency across public spaces and transport infrastructure. The 2024 revised IRR of BP 344 introduces several key updates intended to align Philippine standards with global accessibility frameworks and the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. These amendments include clearer specifications for tactile paving, more inclusive signage systems, improved restroom standards, and mandatory provision of access features in transport terminals, public gathering spaces, and digital interfaces, such as self-service kiosks and automated doors. One major innovation is the required use of tactile ground surface indicators and dual-mode communication systems, such as visual and audio announcements in elevators and terminals. Emergency exits and alarm systems must now include both audible and visual signs, improving response for persons with hearing or visual impairments. The amendment also expands the legal accountability of project proponents, including architects, engineers, contractors, and even developers, for non-compliance. The revisions reflect a shift from compliance through minimum standards towards inclusive and anticipatory design. Rather than making adjustments for disabled users, the updated IRR pushes towards environments that are inherently usable by all. From the design phase, this is especially relevant in design education and practice, where universal design is now considered an essential design responsibility, not a supplemental one. As an architect, you bear legal and ethical responsibility for ensuring that your designs meet all BP 344 standards. This includes integrating accessibility from the initial schematic design phase, coordinating with other professionals for accessible mechanical and electrical systems, and ensuring that specifications, drawings, and details meet the IRR standards. Before a building permit is approved, architectural plans undergo accessibility evaluation by the Office of the Building Official and the City Municipal Accessibility Monitoring Team. The 2024 IRR mandates that all architects must sign a certificate of compliance with BP 344 as part of the building permit documents. This means that if your building is found non-compliant during construction or occupancy inspections, you may be held professionally liable, which may include suspension of your license or civil damages. This certification also extends to renovations, retrofits, and additions to existing buildings, particularly those involving public use or government funding. More importantly, beyond compliance, architects are called to act as advocates for inclusive design. This involves public education, community consultation, and technical leadership in projects involving schools, parks, transport, and healthcare. It is not enough to apply the law. You must understand the human realities behind it. Every inaccessible space is a missed opportunity for justice and every inclusive design is a step towards equity. To illustrate the application of BP344, consider a local government retrofitting its public library to include a ramped main entrance, accessible toilets on every floor, and tactile maps near elevators. In this case, the building was originally non-compliant, but through consultation with the municipal accessibility team and collaboration with architects and engineers, it was transformed into an inclusive learning environment. This not only met legal requirements, but also increased foot traffic, public appreciation, and equity of access. Another case involves a mixed-use commercial development that included integrated PWD parking, elevators with braille buttons and audio cues, and accessible ATM machines. On the ground floor, these features made the building more appealing to all users, not just persons with disabilities. Importantly, the project team was recognized with a local award for inclusive planning, proving that compliance and good design are not mutually exclusive. Such examples show that BPT44, when treated not as a checklist but as a design philosophy, can significantly enhance the value of architecture. You are encouraged to study real projects where accessibility was treated as a central design principle. These case studies provide both technical references and professional inspiration to your future work. So in summary, class, BP344 and its 2024 revised IRR represents a comprehensive approach to accessibility in architecture, planning, and infrastructure. The law mandates physical access, usability, and dignity for persons with disabilities. It outlines specific provisions for ramps, handrails, signage, toilets, parking, pedestrian spaces, and public facilities. As architects, you are directly responsible for ensuring the designs and plans comply with those standards. The revisions reflect a movement toward universal design, one that eliminates barriers before they are built and places the user, regardless of ability, at the central of architectural thinking. This includes integrating tactile, visual, and spatial cues into buildings, as well as making infrastructure legible and safe for everyone. So remember that inclusive design improves usability for all, not just for those with disabilities. For your assignment this week, choose a public or commercial facility such as a city hall, a public market, a school or mall, and prepare a two-page assessment of its accessibility features. Identify at least 3 compliance issues and propose code-based solutions using a 2024 IRR as reference. Include diagrams or photos where appropriate. This will develop your analytical skills and prepare you for accessibility reviews in future practice. So just visit our Padlet link class and see you next meeting. Thank you.